Time kills all deals. Conversion is emotional. We have to keep people moving through the process so that they're engaged, they're curious, they sense the urgency, and they're available to have their epiphany and their breakthrough so that they will convert, care, and will have an opportunity to change the trajectory of their life.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
What's up, Remarkables? Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast, Chiropractic's #1 business podcast. I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
And I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
Hey guys, we're stoked to be back for part 2. We're talking about operationalizing, professionalizing, and optimizing your business. This is part 2 of a conversation that's a data-driven conversation. And tell you what, guys, the juice is worth the squeeze. The last time we were together, we taught you that operationalizing is where you systematize everything, and the fruit of operationalizing is productivity. And then number 2 is the second step is then you professionalize and surround yourself with a team of A players. And the fruit of professionalization is durability, which produces optionality. You get to choose what to do with your time. And the third step in this process is optimizing. And the fruit of optimization is profitability. So guys, the juice is worth the squeeze in this conversation. We're going to have a data-driven conversation. We're going to pick up right where we left off the last time. We're talking about the lens through which to look at those metrics, your KPIs, that data, and anything that's underperforming. We're asking a question. Why is it underperforming? Is it a person? Is it a process? Is it a proficiency? Is it a priority? Or is it a project? Dr. Pete, we're going to dig into some of our favorite conversion and retention metrics today, because I know we're in the season of assigning scorecards and KPIs and setting up our scorecards, our scoreboards for Q2 2025. We're ready to rock and roll today.
Yeah, Doc. And you know, obviously in the last episode, if you didn't listen to it, I encourage you to go back and listen to it. For all of you who are listeners to our podcast, say thanks for being a part of this. We really get a lot out of it. We love doing these podcasts, Dr. Stephen and I, and we are so thankful that you're a listener. If you're new to the show, welcome aboard. Please remember to tune in, subscribe. Every Tuesday we release a new episode. And we really love what we're doing, but you'll want to go back and listen to the previous episode in this series. If this was what you're just tuning in, you missed our last one, it'll actually set you up perfectly. We actually started unpacking this and we decided to call it a show because we knew we were going to go layers deep, and we needed to have more time. So we're going to dig deeper in here today, hitting some conversion and retention metrics. We're just picking a few. If you've been around us at all, you know we geek out about this stuff. We love getting into the data. We did a little breakdown on the, using the framework of, is it optimized? And we use the Better Results Faster workshop as an example of, do we need to do more? Do we need to do better? Do we need to do differently? So you'll want to go back and listen to that because that's such a practical framework to use. And we're going to use that now as we go into the metrics. So let's start with some conversion metrics. Dr. Stephen, you and I were chatting before we pressed play here today on this episode that, the rule of 72, we're going to start there with some conversion metrics. So, we like to say that, conversion is sales, right? It's sales. It's taking somebody through a very intentional process where they are compelled to make a purchase, right? What are they acquiring? Well, they're choosing to follow your best recommendations for care based on their findings and their goals, your findings, their goals really ultimately, but it's their findings, it's their health status and their health goals. We're giving them recommendations that are based on that. And our recommendations will hopefully get them to that outcome that they ultimately want, which is their goals. Right. And so conversion is there's a sacredness to this. There's a sensitivity to this process. I think a lot of chiropractors are really good at starting people. I'm not sure if they're great at converting people because there's a wild difference. And if we were really good at converting, Dr. Stephen, based on the definition of true conversion, we'd have a lot more people under care and we'd have a lot harder time getting new patients into our offices right now because there would be no more availability for new patients because we'd be chock full of, I like to have our chiropractic offices be more like some of the local churches in my area. We're having to buy more property and expand their buildings from 25 to 50, from 50 to 100,000 square feet, because
Praise God.
there's just so many people going to church right now, right? So I love that that's happening. I love to see that happen to our profession, right? Where it's just like, man, there's no room in the parking lot. We need to pave on the grass to create more spots for these cars, because, man, they come in hot right after kids get out of school, man. It's like there's no room in the parking lot for all the minivans, man, when all these people are coming in. I love for that to be our problem. And I hope it will be, Dr. Stephen, as we go. You got to have a vision for that, and I certainly see it. So let's talk about some conversion stats. So the rule of 72 is something we want to start with, Dr. Stephen. So you were saying something right before, and I thought, that's cool. We're going to have some eyebrows raised after we unpack the new, I'm going to call it the new and improved rule of 72. In other words, there's a standard, and there's a remarkable standard for the rule of 72. And we want to break it down for you. And then, for example, break it down in terms of the asking those 5 questions. So Dr. Stephen, let's jump in.
So here's what I know to be true, because we're going to focus on what's true, not what's new. Time kills all deals. Mm-hmm. Right? So conversion is emotional. Retention is intellectual. So I know we can only help the people that we convert. And I know that if these people just did what I told them to do, their lives would get better. That's the granite I stand on, Dr. Pete, when I'm getting ready for the conversion process. The granite I stand on is I know that if these people just did what we told them to do, their lives would get better. Period. Hard stop. The swing thought that you carry into this conversion process is so critical. You have to understand that what we're working with is human psychology. Okay, this is behavioral psychology. You have to appreciate that if you know what I just said is true, you can only help the people that you convert. Then you should become an expert in creating an environment where they're far more likely to convert. So I just wanted to put an asterisk on that before we start talking about this conversion process and the rule of 72. Is conversion is emotional, and emotion cools, and time kills all deals. So we want to make sure that our business, our practice, our team is prepared and ready, and our systems are set up where we can serve people immediately and we keep them moving. Okay. And what that looks like is we call it the rule of 72. So it was CJ Mertz who introduced this concept to me early on. Just want to credit CJ with that. And this has made all the difference in the world, was this idea of like, you've got to be available. Because we used to be like, oh yeah, no, you can't get in to see us for like 2 weeks. I'm like, that's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. Like, people are prideful around that. I'm like, bro, your practice sucks. People can't get in to see you for 2 weeks. Guess what's going to happen to that? It's like, it's on you to improve your practice so that they can see you within 2 weeks. It's not like, oh yeah, well, you can't get in to see me for 2-3 weeks. I'm like, I found myself just pounding my chest on that one. It's like, well, you need to change it. You need to fix it. You need to increase your capacity. What does that mean? Does that mean more parking spaces? Does that mean splitting your front desk check-in? Does that mean getting more efficient with your scheduling and being more strategic? Does that mean adding 2 more tables, 3 more doctors? Look, what does that mean? What does that look like? You've got to increase your capacity so you can serve the demand, and the need is out there. So when you look at your business, you've got to make sure that it is ready to receive people as they're moving towards you, because time kills all deals. And if they don't come in to see you, guess what happens? The swelling goes down, the crisis goes away, they're back to managing their sickness and disease through pharmacology, or they end up in the medical vortex and you know what's going on there, right? So you've got to own that, right? So you got to recognize it's like, that's what this conversation today is about, frankly, right? It's like, you've got to increase your capacity to serve all those people God's going to send in your direction. And rule of 72 is where the rubber hits the road on the operational capacity of your business. So the rule of 72 sounds something like this. Within 72 hours of somebody contacting your office, they should be in your office getting their day one. Now I'm going to put an asterisk on that. I love same day. Get them in same day, or if within 72 hours. Within 72 hours of their day one, they should be back in your office for their day 2. I like next day. So within 24 hours, but definitely within 72. Within 72 hours of their day 2, they should be committed to care. I like same day commitment, but within 72 hours, they've got to be committed to care. And then within 72 hours of their commitment, they're at the workshop, at the Better Results Faster workshop. And within 72 hours of the Better Results Faster workshop, you're checking their friends and family. Dr. Pete, Time kills all deals. Conversion is emotional. We have to keep people moving through the process so that they're engaged, they're curious, they sense the urgency, and they're available to have their epiphany and their breakthrough so that they will convert, care, and will have an opportunity to change the trajectory of their life.
So I'm going to double click on something only because I know it's this issue right now in chiropractic. I'm in the thick of it. I work with a lot of chiropractors. I train a lot of doctors, train a lot of associates, and I'm in it. So I know. And one of the things that we have lost in many ways in our profession, if you look at the three components, the energies in a day one, you have curiosity. And the purpose of curiosity, what curiosity creates is connection. So connection is the key to establishing the relationship where you can establish level of trust. And once you have that, you have something you can build upon. So we know that connection is a big piece. And the only way you create connection is be genuinely curious. Curiosity creates connection. Curiosity also keeps connection. So that's the key piece. You also have to create some level of scarcity. And scarcity is what you just said, Dr. Stephen. If you walk out my door, you're going to get thrown into the vortex of the medical system, medical model. You'll get sucked into that. You'll get right back in. You'll end up going down one. You'll take one right turn, and it will not end well. And you're going to be on a slippery slide down. And all of a sudden, you didn't realize 2 years later how many medications you're on. You lost a couple of your organs, and it's like, I don't really know what happened ever since I left your office. I mean, we have to recognize the slippery slope that's out there and the system that's set up to pull them in. It is built for that. And so we've got to recognize that's part of the scarcity. Scarcity is also just a boundary of respect. It says, listen, you have to decide what you want to do with your health. If we find you are a candidate, and if in fact you are someone who we are willing to work with and we can accept your case, the question will be if you accept our recommendations and you choose to move forward. And if you choose to move forward with our recommendations, then we will actually begin with your first adjustment and we'll begin.
Are you in the right place?
Right. It's a big deal to do that. I see chiropractic. We do okay with that. We do okay with creating connection. We do okay with, creating some level of scarcity. I don't know if we're great at it, but we're okay. But where I think we're really poor is creating urgency. I have a concern here. I have a concern for our profession that we've lost the concern for what the effects of subluxation are and have on the health of humanity. We've gotten weak here as a profession. We've gotten weak. We've watered it down. We have lost our edge. And, that's a concern that I have. I'm just sharing with you guys, right now from being in it with you, and recognizing that we have an opportunity here to do that. This rule of 72 is just, again, it's a rule. It's a framework. As Dr. Stephen,
guardrails.
You said something that I just want to make sure everybody heard. Like, if someone calls, the goal isn't 72. The goal is to get them in immediately. Right? Is there any reason why you can't come back tomorrow? Right? Like, would there be any reason why? Because I'm going to go ahead and move my schedule around to prioritize you being here tomorrow. Do you see any reason why you wouldn't be able to prioritize on your end and move things around in your schedule to be here tomorrow?
Yeah. Is it impossible? Not is it possible? Is it impossible for you to be here tomorrow? No, let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Give them an answer so they can say no. It's not impossible. All right, let's make that happen.
If you don't have a level of urgency, if that hasn't been created, and this isn't manipulated, this is real. This is if you have conviction. Remember, belief, right? People borrow your belief. Conversion is a reflection of your conviction. If you don't have conviction around even them coming back at the first available appointment you have immediately tomorrow, is it impossible for you to be here? That kind of thing. You wouldn't ask that if you didn't have a conviction about them coming right back in because you have a serious concern about the effect that this is having on their life. And that if I was to not have that level of conviction and concern, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal and just come back and see us next week. And that's fine. It's not okay. And it's not, Dr. Stephen, just like, well, psychologically, if they don't come back for more than 72, they just will lose it. No, that's not it. What it is it's did you do your part? Here's my thought. Connection, right? Empathy, that's connection. Urgency is leadership. Empathy is connection. Urgency is leadership. It's a leadership thing. And you've got to be the leader. You've got to step into that gap right there in that moment in that person's story. And if we do this well, Dr. Stephen, we should be able to not only have them come back for the report of findings, But if we do the reported findings correctly, and we organize our reported findings around the 4 agreements, we make it very clear what people are saying yes to, and they were able to make a decision in regards to that, then they would be immediately coming back in for their next adjustment, because they understand that the recommendations for their adjustments is based on how well they hold their adjustment. And right now they're not going to hold their adjustment very well because they just started. So they're going to be immediately back for their next adjustment as quickly as possible, because we want to get ahead of the backsliding process. So that appointment needs to be scheduled. And then once they have that, we know that we want to start to address their, belief systems. We know that's what we do at the Better Results Faster workshop, new patient orientation. And if we don't have that scheduled quickly, then we're already, losing time and traction because of the belief system that they currently have, which is subluxated, and that's affecting their ability to hold their adjustments psychologically. So we need to get them in for that Better Results Faster new patient orientation workshop. And then once they come to that workshop and they feel you, they see your heart, you lay it out on the line, you make it very clear, and they have their aha moment and the scales fall off their eyes, and all of a sudden they come out of the fog and into the clear, and they begin to see this is a bigger deal, and that these guys are on a mission and they need my help, and I got people that I need to help, and those people are closest to me that are even far from help. I'm going to go ahead and get my family checked, and next to my neighbor and my pastor and my coworkers and the guys I play pickleball with and my golf buddies, they're all coming in to get them checked. Like that to me is, Dr. Stephen, that's the rule of 72. The rule of 72 is just, man, this is the right thing to do. This is the right way. So when we look at it through the lens of, is it optimized, right? Is there an opportunity for us to take this point of, we have a point of constraint here. We're actually a 6, and we need to turn that 6 into an 8 because we're not actually hitting our goals. We need to look at this through that lens and ask those 5 questions and find out, where is it? Maybe we need to train more, right? Maybe it is an issue of proficiency, Dr. Stephen. Maybe it is this. We just haven't trained on this enough. You're right, Dr. Pete. We haven't trained on that in a long time. We have not trained on. We haven't even thought about it in that sense. We really need to look at reestablishing what the standard is in our clinic. You're right. Yeah, we need to train on that. We're going to need to train on that. We're going to need to train our staff. We need to train our patients on what that looks like. Right? We're going to need to take a close look at this, because this is what it's at. This is where this is working on the business, Dr. Stephen, and really taking a good hard look at how things are and saying, you know what, we have to get better, right? We're always looking for opportunities to get better, and these are areas that we can improve. And, the rule of 72 is just one great place to start.
Let me show you how powerful this is. So in my experience, if you're not currently following the rule of 72 and you're letting time go by between each of these steps that we've just described, between first point of contact, day 1, day 2, day 3, workshop, families getting checked, what you're going to find is there's going to be heat loss. There's going to be an attrition all the way, every single step of the process. Like if there's time between, there's a lot of life that happens in 24 hours, right? So you start letting it go 3 days, 5 days, 4 days routine. Tell you what, first thing that happens, they will completely forget everything you told them. just know that. It's like there's an 80-20 rule. If you obey the rules and you get them in next day, 80-20, they remember 80% of what you taught them, right? So as soon as you get outside of 72, it's 80-20 still, but guess what? They remember 20% of what you said and they've lost 80%. That heat loss shows up immediately in your conversion rates, your conversion, your volume, your impact, and your income. Change my mind. I've looked at thousands of practices, and you could do the exact same process with the same exact level of skills with the same people, and all you change is compress it all together and kill that downtime between each steps in the process, and watch their practice metrics improve systematically, sequentially through each one of those steps, and watch how there's a compound effect when you get more people to actually show up for their day 1. And that's the top of the funnel, right? So the more people come back for their day 2, man, there's a compound effect of that. You're way upstream. There's more people that come back for recommendations for care, and there's a higher conversion rate, and more people come back for the Better Results Faster. And next thing you know, there's more families getting checked. You tell me this is not compounding right before your eyes right now, right? It's like if you change no skills, no process, no scripting, no people, and you just compress those things together, you see improvement, immediate kick in your metrics. That's how powerful this is, right? So when we say time kills all deals, know that this plays out in your data, right? So this rule of 72, this is the conversion. I mean, guys, we have a list of conversion metrics. There's probably 25 conversion metrics. Now, if you just looked at, well, how many new patients converted this month, that's like spitting out of the conversion machine, right? Then you could extrapolate out, well, how many reports did we do? How many so then there's a conversion rate. And it's like, well, what was our conversion number? Like as an absolute number, there was 12 people. Okay. Is that great? I don't know. Did you do 48 day twos? Then no, that's not great. Right. Right. So did you do 16? Then that's really great. So there's literally two numbers that you need to be keeping an eye on there. It's the number of reports you did and what was your number of conversions. That's going to give you a conversion rate, right? So that's something you want to keep an eye on. If you see that those numbers are off track and you're off goal, then you chase it upstream and say, where are we falling down? So jump right up to rule of 72. Yep. And each one of those steps, Dr. Pete, is a metric, right? As you go from day 0, which is when they contact the office, to get them in the office, did we follow the rule of 72? And what percentage of those people did we do? What percentage of people showed up did we get them in within 72? That's a KPI. And then we go from day 1 to day 2. What percentage of people came back for day 2 within 72 hours? That's a percentage point. That's a KPI. And how about from day 2 to conversion? In other words, they time to commit, TTC. How long did it take them to commit and pay for their care? That's a metric. How many from conversion to workshop, better results, faster workshop? Not only what percentage actually attended, which should be 100%, but did we obey rule of 72 and get them there within 72 hours? That's a metric. Some of you right now are like, Franson, you are out of your mind. I'm like, yes, I am. Crazy like the fox, right? So you have to break this process down because every single step in the way, this is like American Ninja. Every single step is where they could fall off and right into the water, right? So you've got to be measuring that, and you cannot master what you do not measure. If you do not know what needs to be managed and improved upon, you're going to be guessing. And if you're guessing, you're stressing. I don't stress. I don't have emotions. I have metrics. Every single step of the way, Dr. Pete, you can measure this process and know what do we need to train on. We ask, is it a person? Is it a process? Is it a proficiency? Or has it not been a priority? Or do we need to have a project? In other words, man, this rule of 72 sounds important. We're going to adopt it. And in second quarter, 2025, this is going to be a project for us. We're going to get this in play and we're going to get the team oriented around that. Every single step of the way, this is a lens through which you're looking at the entire process of conversion.
So Dr. Stephen, if we were to apply this then to the process of retention, let's say, okay, and we have a couple minutes, probably we'll unpack. So let's pick one retention stat. I'd like for us to, you guys just poke the bear, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sorry. We're running now.
You're just poking us. So so let's do one more. So let's hit on let's pick a retention stat. Let's go with one of my favorites. It's one of the ones that a lot of the doctors will look at me like this. Stick rate. Oh yeah, no, we don't have that one. So we're gonna pick on something that a lot of people are like, that one we don't have. I'm not sure if we have that. I'm not sure if that's accurate. So we're gonna break down stick rate. We'll just spend a little bit of time here, Dr. Stephen, because I know this is a podcast and it's a lot to take this in, but we do have a couple giveaways we want to give you guys. So I want to do two things. Number one, Dr. Stephen, I want to give our break-in form, which is what we do on day 3, which I think will be really good for you guys in terms of this conversion process and building into retention. So make sure you download that. I'm adding that to the show notes, and I'm going to add the accountability grid. It's always good. If you don't have that, make sure you get that. That's such a powerful tool, and it's what we're really centering a lot of our conversation around here today. But Dr. Stephen, let's jump into stick rate. So stick rate is one of the most. It's just like brutal facts, right? It's true.
It's the retention metric, right?
Yeah, it is. It's what everything boils down to, guys. At the end of the day, do people stick around? That's the question. Are they sticking around, and how long are they sticking around? So we're going to measure it a few different ways. We're going to break down stick rate for your business. And I want you to think about this like right now, as like you said, Dr. Stephen, at the beginning of the podcast today, you said, right now we're rebuilding out our scorecards. And we're going to talk about how you can break down a retention metric and share it with 3 different players on your team to get a bunch of energy towards it and not having anybody be isolated and yoked with something and out on an island and siloed, but like recognizing like we create this cohesiveness between the players on the team, positions on the team, and how it all drives towards this one thing called retention as an example. So we'll kind of show you an example of how we do that, but we're going to bring up stick rate and what that looks like from a doctor perspective and from maybe 1 or 2 CA perspective and show you what this looks like. So stick rate, we're going to do it. Dr. Stephen, let's talk about it by measuring stick rate by visit. And then we're going to talk about stick mo, which may be another thing you guys aren't measuring, which would be a great one to start adding into your KPIs. And then we'll talk about the ultimately, the R4, 5, and 6 stick rate, which if you've been around Remarkable, that's their initial intensive plan, their corrective plan, and then once their wellness and maintenance plans. So long-term lifetime family wellness care, the ultimate product that we sell. So Dr. Steven, let's start. Let's look at stick rate. Let's break it down.
Okay, let's do it. And let's do it right. So heart, head, hands, feet.
Yes.
Right. So this is how we do everything. So let's start with the why, right? So the heart behind retention, Dr. Pete, I can speak for the both of us, is you and I are all about retention. It's all about retention, right? So we're not interested in people just hearing about chiropractic or trying chiropractic or getting checked or closing people, right? So that whole closing language is, I want to convert people, right? So I don't want people to dabble in chiropractic, try chiropractic. Here's what I know to be true. Chiropractic is a lifestyle success strategy for healthy human beings. It's not limited to a short-term treatment modality for people that are in crisis. Yes, we love to help people that are in trouble, of course. But chiropractic is a lifestyle success strategy for healthy human beings. We know, like everyone knows innately, the longer you are sick, the sicker you get. Everybody knows that. The longer you're sick, the sicker you get, right? So conversely, the longer you're healthy, the healthier you get. You have to see the converse of that, right? So when we talk about the health of the human being and the role that chiropractic plays in reducing subluxation and interference in the expression of the health potential of humanity, you have to understand that the longer that you're subluxated, the more subluxated you get. The longer you're subluxated, the more interference to the expression of your potential. The longer you're subluxated, the sicker you get. The longer you are subluxation free, the healthier you get. And you've got to hear this. Like chiropractic is a lifestyle success strategy for healthy human beings. You have to understand the compound benefit of regular chiropractic care over your lifetime. There is a compound benefit. Change my mind. If you've raised children from the day that they were born, if mama was adjusted before conception, if mama was adjusted throughout the pregnancy, if that child was checked the day that they were born and they grew up in a chiropractic home, clear, their whole life regularly, you cannot change my mind that you have the ultimate expression of a human being, right? So we see it. We raise our kids in this timeline living subluxation free, right? So ultimately I see that for all of humanity is that people should have the opportunity. It's a birthright, Pete, to express your potential over time. So if you know that, if you understand that, how dare you not orient your entire practice and your business and all of your communications and your practice process, your operations, to creating an environment that makes that more likely for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, it is about creating the environment that promotes regular chiropractic care over a lifetime. All right, I'm going to climb off of my soapbox, but I got to say that. It's just like, that's why retention is important, right? So stick rate is a very general term, and there's lots of ways to measure how long do people stay active in your practice, right? That's what we're asking. How often do people stay active in your practice, or for how long? And there's lots of ways to measure stick, right? So it needs a prefix or a suffix or some type of qualifier. And you listed a few of them there, like stick rate by visit. It may sound something like this. Hey, Dr. Pete, what's your stick rate by visit? And you'd say, well, my average patient that starts with me stays for 71 visits before they discontinue, before they go inactive. So you'd have a 71 visit stick rate. Make sense? Like my average patient they get adjusted 71 times before they discontinue. That would be stick rate by visit. You could also frame the question, hey, Dr. Pete, what's your 12 visit stick rate? You might say, 89% of my people that start with me make it to the 12th visit to the progress. Well, what's your 24 visit stick rate? Oh, it is 81%. Well, what's your 48 visit stick rate, right? So you can frame it in that question as well. Incredibly informative, especially if you have multiple associate doctors and you are segmenting your data and you can look at everybody's different stick rates. Incredibly informative, right? So looking where people are dropping off. Stick Mo is another way to measure it. And the Mo stands for months in this example. Stick Mo, how many months does your average patient stay? If you're doing recommendations for care and you're doing a monthly recurring revenue, which I really hope you are, then you use Stick Mo. How many months does your average patient stay active under care? How many months do they stay? That's Stick Mo. Or R4, R5, R6 stick rates. This is for people who commit to a care plan. How many of them complete the care plan, right? So those are the first, second, and third care plan. So Dr. Pete, you can see, like, as we're just describing, we guys, we have a list of KPIs we're looking at. We just picked the first one. And you have to understand that there's an art, science, philosophy, and business acumen to becoming a remarkable practice. For you to be expressing your potential as a business owner and as a practitioner, so that you and your team have the best opportunity to really impact your community, to really change, create an inflection point for not just the health outcomes, but the health experience of the people that you're trusted with, man, you've got to create a data-driven business so that you can make that biggest impact. What we know to be true is what the world needs now is chiropractic. And what chiropractic needs right now is more successful chiropractors. Thank you so much for staying with us through this data-driven conversation to help you guys become more successful chiropractors.
Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy.
Hello, remarkable CEOs. I'm Coach Dr. Eric DiMartino here from TRP, and I'm excited to be in studio today with Dr. Andrew White from Alignco. Alignco is one of our remarkable success partners, and we just love and appreciate our remarkable success partners because they help us further our mission and helping more people help more people. So welcome to the podcast, Dr. Andrew.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Eric. It's great to see you.
Yeah, you as well. So please, take a few minutes to introduce yourself to the audience and help them know a little bit about your story.
So I'm from Michigan originally, just like Dr. Eric. It's where the best chiros, best of the best. That's where we are in Mitten State. And so I live in Holland, Michigan, which is on the West Coast. And I grew up in a town called Jackson. I got into chiropractic because my mom is an opiate addict. She became an addict from a workplace injury. She worked at the University of Michigan's hospital when I was a kid. And she got a back surgery that failed. And so that was a big reason why I wanted to go into healthcare. I realized when I was pre-med that I developed a strong aversion to drugs and surgery. So I ended up going into chiropractic. Early in my career, because I realized I was passionate around the opiate crisis. So I did some lobbying through some of the like ACA and ICA and DC, trying to push legislative reform to improve access to healthcare for Americans, and specifically with chiropractic and conservative treatment. And I had some good success doing that, but I was frustrated that things weren't moving the way I hoped. So then I ended up coming back to Michigan, originally partnered with a doc in Grand Rapids who was incredibly successful, helping them to open more clinics. And then ended up, even though we were having success, I was just frustrated that we were meeting patients late all the time. Like my mom, who had surgeries, been on drugs, and they would always say, man, I wish I would have met you guys sooner. And when I would ask why they didn't act sooner, they would usually say either they didn't have the money or they were too busy with time. And so I had read some case studies in chiropractic school about businesses that developed robust wellness programs and some of the results they had seen. So that in 2019, I had hired some assistants to help me dig into data around that was available in the United States around healthcare costs and how much chiropractic could help mitigate some of the fees and costs for employers specifically. So that way we can create some software to help the employers see the value in investing in chiropractic for their staff, and then use that to try and sell wellness programs that included chiropractic. So I launched that company in 2020. We had some success with some small manufacturing companies, grew in 2021. 2022, we launched what we call our mobile units, which are mobile x-ray. We actually do all the diagnostics on site. And the business model was we would sell these contracts to employers, and then we would either hire doctors or subcontract doctors that were near the business. And so for chiropractors who wanted to get into corporate wellness and wanted to become like a company's chiro and get paid to market their clinic and pay to just employees, we were the brokers to essentially do that for them. And then I most recently, because we were getting sold often by insurance brokers the last few years, I had heard about some tax advantage wellness plans that were being sold by insurance companies that were allowing employers to use tax dollars to offer different health benefits. So I worked for about 18 months to get my company, Alignco, bundled into one of those plans. And that launched about 8 weeks ago now. And so now we're the first tax advantage wellness plan in the United States that includes chiropractic. So now employers can actually use tax dollars to get chiropractic paid for their team members twice a month. It's an incredibly powerful product. I'm very proud of it. And so we're selling that nationally today. And so again, that's kind of my story. My passion is, I think God has called me to, I thought when I started hiring associates that I realized that they were better than me in some ways with patient care. And so I've realized or believed that God has called me to find the best chiropractors in the United States and just give them another vertical to treat more people by selling direct contracting to employers. So that way we can just help Chiro serve more people. And then our 10-year goal is to get 10,000 clinics in our network. So, and if we can get 1 to 3 contracts for every one of those clinics, we'd be serving about 1 million people a week in the United States. And so that's the kind of the big vision of what we're pushing for and kind of how I got here.
Love that. And yeah, full disclosure to listeners, I'm a client of Dr. Andrews. We're onboarding right now with his program, and there's a lot to it. But his team does an amazing job in supporting you through each step of the process. And yeah, I just love the fact that there's so many tax incentives out there for different things that want to be promoted, and wellness is a big thing right now.
Yes.
And I don't think chiropractic has ever been able to really tap into these things in the past, but now we can. And so it's just a great way to get chiropractic out to the masses and save a lot of money in the process. And like I said, there's a lot of details to this, but by utilizing this, you can actually save a ton of money in taxes for your employees. There's so many benefits I'm sure Dr. Andrew will speak to here in the future, but it's just been a great experience so far. So I definitely would recommend working with Alignco to all our doctors out there, because it's really it's a win-win. You can't lose with the scenario. It's simply tax. It's just taking advantage of those tax incentives that the government puts out there, and why as chiropractors can't we take advantage of that as well? So I appreciate what you guys are doing. So we always talk about businesses exist to solve problems for people, right? So what is specifically as Alignco? What specific problems do you guys solve for chiropractic and chiropractic owners?
Yeah, so I would say that the main one that we've been solving for years is acquisition, right? So every chiropractor I know runs a ton of marketing efforts to drive new leads in the door, lunch and learn, screening events, Google ads, Facebook ads, internal referrals, special events, and they all work, but they all cost money. And there's labor costs, there's ad costs, etc. And so the awesome part about corporate contracts is that there's no fee to work with us. We sell on as long as you're a good fit for us, we're 100% commission-based salespeople. We go sell on your behalf. When we land a contract, you get it, and then we pay you to process those new patients. And so whether we're sending them to your clinic in a near site contracts and then encouraging you to close them for additional care, or whether we're paying you to send one of your doctors on site into a bigger corporation, either way, it's just a way to add more leads to your clinic and also a new vertical for revenue generation. As far as the second thing I'd say we solve now that we're in this tax product, we also are helping, I think, with retention for employers or for chiros, because if we set up this tax advantage wellness plan for your clinic, what's called a grand plan, like Dr. Eric was alluding to, your employees get access to some other health benefits outside of just getting adjusted. We can now pay you to adjust your team members, which you're likely doing for free. And if your employees participate, they'll see an increase in their take-home pay. So my average, we're launching this cross country right now. Our average chiropractor, like associates that we're seeing cross country, are making around $150 to $200 more per month just to participate in these plans. And then CAs and managers, office managers, we're seeing somewhere between $100 to $150 more per month in their take-home pay. So if you imagine being able to tell your associates and your other staff, hey, we're going to offer, a lot of offices don't have the money to offer like amazing, sexy benefits, but because we're using tax dollars to subsidize some of this stuff, imagine, if you're listening to this, I can save you money in your taxes as an owner. I can pay you just your team members. And then I can increase your benefits to your team members through this grand plan, and also increase their take-home pay by thousands of dollars a year just to participate. Like, that's an amazing thing to be able to offer a lot of CAs and associates. And so again, I think that's like a tangential thing that we're now helping to solve. But I think the biggest one is the lead acquisition that we're helping chiros with.
I love that. And just so listeners are clear on this, because I was confused at first when I started working with you. These savings he's talking about, it's not a tax credit. Like you file your tax return, then you get it back. No, you literally every single paycheck, you see less in your FICA taxes for all of your employees, all of your team members. It's pretty amazing. So it's an immediate savings. So, we always talk about ROI too with our docs, right? We always talk about how it doesn't matter what you spend for something. It's what the return on investment that you get. The nice thing is for your program, there is no cost for us. But what kind of ROI can a CEO expect to get from investing in your product and services? Obviously, you talk to the immediate tax savings, but what are some of the other benefits that they'll get from this?
Yeah, when we implement the tax program for your clinic, it depends. Your savings will depend on how many staff you have. So the more staff you have, the more you're going to save in taxes, obviously, and the more that you're going to get paid to adjust your team. Most clinics are saving somewhere to your, because again, this is all coming out. There's the fees associated are coming out of your taxes, so like there is no cost out of pocket. So the net savings to an average clinic, just to incorporate one of these plans, depending on the size of your clinic, on the small end is like $4,000 to $6,000 a year to your net income as an owner. Some of the bigger clinics, it's 10 to 15,000 or more to your bottom line just to offer the benefit. As far as our corporate contracts, again, it depends on the appetite that you have and how much you can handle. So I'll give you an example, a real world example. Like I own a private clinic here in Michigan still. I'm not in day-to-day patient care anymore, but I've been selling these contracts from my clinic for years now. And it represents the last year, $250,000 of income for my clinic. I just sold another contract for my clinic to a 300-person employer in Holland. And with our close rates, and that's going to be a near site contract where all those employees can come to our clinic, and then we're going to pay Align & Co will pay my clinic twice a month to adjust them, and then they can close them for additional care. Looking at our close rates, that one contract will easily generate another couple $100,000 in revenue for our clinic. And so it just depends on the size of the contract, and also again the like how much. We do a questionnaire on the front end. We're working with offices to understand your capacity, so we're never outselling you as far as not selling a contract that's too big. But again, in general, you know, our goal would be in the first year that we can help offices drive tens of thousands of dollars more in revenue on the low end if they're only able to handle some small contracts. But nonetheless, between the setting up the wellness program for the office and then selling a couple of contracts locally, our goal is in the 40 on the low end to $50,000-$60,000 in revenue for the year, or obviously more if the office has the ability for a little more volume.
Yeah, that's great. And so, you know, I hope the listeners are getting this, that your company is literally going to pay you to adjust your team members, which
Yes.
well, I should say you guys aren't. The federal government is essentially paying you
Yeah.
CEOs out there to adjust your team members.
Yes.
And they're also, Align Co is going to be marketing you to your companies in your area to
Yes.
promote how great chiropractic is, to send them into your clinic. So you
Yes.
can, they'll pay for some of their adjustments as well. And it costs us
Yes.
$0 to do this, right?
Correct. Yeah. No, there's no fee. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a complete no-brainer. So I love what you're doing. I love your passion. You know, coming out of that painful story about you and your mom, and
Yep.
you know, from pain to purpose and passion is how we, you know, it's put you on this mission where you're going to help a ton of chiropractors help a lot more people, right? We always
Yep.
talk about that's our mission as TRP. We want to help docs help more people, and you're doing that to a T. And I think you're going to have a huge impact nationwide. So I'm excited to see as you guys grow the impact that you're going to have.
Thank you, Eric.
So, lastly, what's the next step? I'm sure a lot of listeners are going to be like, I got to learn more about this. What's the next step for our listeners to get in contact with you or to learn more?
Yeah, so there's really two ways, and I'll give Dr. Eric the links. You can put them in the show notes. But our website is Align Co, so ALIGNCO.life, LIFE. So you can email us at hello@alignco.life. Or if you go to alignwellcertified.com, that's the landing page that goes over the ways that you can join our network and the ways that we can sell you. Again, the process is very straightforward. We start with just a questionnaire asking about your clinic just to make sure you're a good fit for us. If you're a good fit, then again, there's no fees for us to sell you. It's just a way for us to understand what you're looking for and make sure you're a good fit. And then again, we can run free quotes to set up the wellness plan for your clinic, or start marketing you and or market you to other businesses. And again, I'll end with this. You know, I would just like to encourage, if you're listening, you know, every chiropractor I talk to, you know, they're passionate about chiropractic, at least the ones, especially in TRP. You got into this profession for a reason. And so again, I would encourage you, if you're listening, if this has stirred something in you, just to reach out to us. We would love to support you. We would love to be able to, again, sell you to local businesses. You're likely changing lives and having these miracles happen in your clinic every single day. And what we do an amazing job of is selling those miracles to businesses so they see the value and sending their employees to you for more. And again, we're in an amazing time right now with the whole MAHA movement. I think there's more than ever, chiropractic is positioned to be able to make a massive impact in healthcare. And we just have to answer the call. We have an opportunity. And so it's on all of us to not shy away from that opportunity and to just step up and serve more. And I think it's going to be really fun next few years.
I agree, man. Very well said. And it's funny when we first started talking about this last year, I kept thinking like, what's the catch? There's got to be a catch. And you're like, there is no catch. The
There is no
government
catch.
has tax incentives. There is no catch. I'm like, okay, this is too good to be true. So I appreciate all the work you're doing, man. I love that you're helping get chiropractic out to the masses. And I hope the listeners will take the next step to contact you guys and start the process, because we're very excited about it in our offices. So thank you, Dr. Andrew, for being here. Appreciate everything you do. So all our remarkable CEOs out there, please remember to tune in each week to the Remarkable CEO podcast. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.